Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2020 Audi RS3. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with this RS3. Check out the inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood of the RS3, we have a turbocharged 2.5 liter inline 5-cylinder that goes through a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. Total power outputs are 394 horsepower and then 354 pound-feet of torque. And now let's go over the front end of the RS3. First off, I absolutely love this paint color. Looks just absolutely fantastic on the RS3. Now coming down below, notice that we've got these full LED lights here. Again, look really cool and distinctive. And then we've got the parking sensors here up front, Quattro logo, and then you've got your RS3 badge. I love how everything's all blacked out in the front, including the Audi logo right there. You've got really nice venting here on the side. But yeah, overall, it's definitely not overstated, but it is really good looking from the front end perspective. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 55mm tires wrapped around 19-inch wheels in the front, and then two 35mm tires wrapped around 19-inch wheels in the back. So yes, the front tires are actually wider. They are not even trying to pretend like this is kind of it is all-wheel drive, but like more front-wheel drive based, if that makes sense. But first off, notice the red brake calipers, nice accenting there. And if we actually come a little bit closer, you guys can see just how massive the rotors are here in the front. Tons of stopping power with this car. I like how they blacked out the mirrors, and then you've got the sunroof there at the top, which adds kind of more black accenting, and then also the spoiler there on the back. But there's your full side view. Now popping here into the trunk area, notice you've got your RS3 floor covering right there. And then you guys can see, got some extra storage space in here, including the battery and all that kind of stuff underneath here in the back. I'm sure that's for weight distribution purposes. But other than that, there's the trunk area. And well, so yeah. I didn't close it all the way. Now, there we go. And let's finish things up with the rear. First off, you've got the really cool sequential turn signals right there. I think that's a really nice touch. And then again, we've got the little black spoiler here on the back. And then you've got your blacked out RS3, your Audi badge, all that kind of stuff. My favorite part is the coverings for the exhaust tips. They're absolutely massive. Definitely remind me of the Audi R8, and that is not a bad place to be from an aesthetic perspective. But other than that, that's everything for the rear. Now here's the door panel in the back. So first off, we've got the carbon fiber trim here at the top portion, Alcantara down below, and then we've got tons of leather and red stitching all across right here. And then you've got this for the Bang & Olufsen sound system. And then here are the seats in the back. So again, you can see that you've got the full leather seats here. You've got the diamond kind of pattern there with the stitching, looks really good. And then all the way down below. And I'll actually pop in here so you guys can kind of see a little bit more stuff. Got some charging areas. Here is what the legroom looks like, and then headroom. Yeah, so it is a smaller size car, so you don't have tons of room, but again, you've got vents, at least for the back passengers, and then this pulls down to be an armrest, and then some cup holders as well. So yeah, that's all for the back. Now here's the door panel in the front. So again, you've got the carbon fiber trim with the Alcantara and leather just down below with all of the stitching. You've got your regular controls for the mirrors and everything like that. Again, more speakers for the Bang & Olufsen sound system. By the way, the sound system sounds perfect, and it's a little car, so you really don't need a whole lot of speakers to have really good surround sound. RS3 plaque, and then here are the seats at the front. So again, you've got that kind of like diamond stitching pattern right there with the RS logo on it. And then the seats belts are pretty cool because you've got like the kind of red pinstripes is what I'll call them on the sides of the seats. They are manually adjustable. And then coming down below, you've got the pedal layout right here. Got the light controls just up above as well. The steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel in the RS3. So first off, you got nice leather at the top and at the bottom with the RS logo, and then tons of red stitching, and then Alcantara on either side with the paddle shifters for that dual clutch automatic transmission. And then you got your regular stocks there for like the turn signal, windshield wipers on the other side, cruise control down below. But yeah, overall, definitely a nice looking steering wheel. Now here's a center gauge cluster. So first off, it is a screen, and notice you've got the G meter there on one side, and the other side shows the power and torque. I think that is pretty cool. And then as for the rest of the gauge cluster setup itself, you guys will notice that you've got the RPMs and all that. And it does the same thing as you get in the R8, where once you get close to the red line, it kind of illuminates with those, which I think is a pretty cool touch. We do have some different drive modes we can go through. We've got our individual, comfort, auto, and then dynamic that you can scroll through. It doesn't really change anything with the gauge gauge cluster just changes how the car drives and whether or not the valves are open with the exhaust. Now, arguably one of the coolest party tricks of the car is the infotainment system. So if we turn the car off and then open up the door, notice it goes into its hiding place, so then it is no longer there. And then once you turn the car on, it just pops back up, which I think that's pretty cool function-wise. Right now it's on the drive mode select, but if we press the menu button, we can go to the different screens. Now this is not a touchscreen, so you guys can see pressing this, there's no feedback happening. It's all controlled via a dial. And then lastly, we do have a backup camera, so we've got trajectory lines, got parking sensors in the front and the rear. Resolution's really good. But yeah, overall pretty good infotainment system other than the fact that it's not a touchscreen. I love the vents here, so you actually twist this to close or open the vents, which I think that's pretty cool function-wise. And even the outside vents also have the same little circular function and look. And also circle vents are cool because you can just pretty much face it anywhere. And then down below, we've got our drive mode select. That's for the parking sensors, your stability control. And then I believe this is for the screen to shut it off. Yep. So press that to shut it off or turn it back on. And then we've got more climate controls down here. And again, this does have a dual zone climate. And notice that we've got heated seats for the RS3 for the front as well. We have a 12 volt right there, and we've got a USB on the other side, some cup holders right here, and then we've got the shifter for that dual clutch automatic. You do have a manual shift function. You can use the shifter or you can use the paddles, and the shifter actually feels pretty nice. It kind of has that like manual shifter type feel to it for the head, so that could be pretty fun. Your stop start button right here, and then all the controls for the infotainment system. Center console with tons of leather and stitching, and then there's a wireless charger inside of it. And then notice we've got more carbon fiber. It says Quattro right there. Feltline glove box, and yeah, that's all for that. Popping up top, we actually do get a sunroof here, and it's just a manual shade control for the sunroof, traditional mirror, and an all black headliner. Well, now that we're done going over the interior on this Audi RS3, well, let's take it out and see how it drives. Talk about visibility before we set off here on the RS3. First off, you guys can see visibility over the front is really good. We got John Jenks sitting there, and then here's your visibility through both of the mirrors, and then here's throughout the rest of the rear, and let's set off. So we're starting off here in the Audi RS3, and we're starting in the automatic mode because this is going to be your kind of normal daily driver mode. First off, this car feels tiny. You can definitely just feel the size of this car, or rather the lack of size. I recently drove an RS5, and that thing feels like a boat compared to this. So we're going to get our acceleration here with the RS3 and see if it's any fast. It does pretty good. I love the gauges, how they light up when you get up to higher RPMs where you're about to hit red line, just like in the R8. I mean, it has the exact same gauge cluster setup as you get in an R8, so it has that same kind of look. Transmission's really quick to respond. The engine is the weirdest part. It sounds very strange. It doesn't quite sound like a 6-cylinder or a 4-cylinder. Obviously it's a 5-cylinder, it's right in between, but it definitely sounds weird. I've never really heard an engine that sounds quite like this. It's pretty quick. It is pretty quick. There's quite a bit of turbo lag. I definitely do notice that. Like, this definitely feels like a boosted car. Yeah, and it pulls all the way to redline. That's definitely interesting. A lot of turbo cars, once you get up to redline, they kind of taper off a little bit, but this kind of pulls all the way through at the power band, which definitely gives it a unique feel. And I love how we have the power and torque, how it's showing us the percentage with everything. And we'll see how it kind of goes over this rough stuff right here, because this is always fun to drive over. It's actually pretty smooth. I drove my Focus RS down here today, and this is definitely smoother than the RS for sure. So we'll take another turn here. The steering's really light. That's kind of an interesting aspect of it. It shifts for you. That is something I just found out. If you're in first gear, it'll definitely shift for you, even in manual mode. Yeah, it's such a weird car. It's such a weird sounding car. I can't quite put my thumb on it. I've just never heard anything that sounds like this before. Just listen to that. So half this video is going to be me just getting crazy accelerations here with the RS3. Yeah, it definitely pulls, and the brakes are really good on this car as well. Hopefully that at least showed you guys kind of part of the driving aspect of this RS3, and I guess that'll get me to summing things up for the driving portion with the car. So first off, definitely quick. It definitely feels quicker than the 400 horsepower figure would suggest. And I guess the other thing about this car is it has a super unique soundtrack. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm in love with the sound, but I will admit that it is definitely on the unique side for sure. And yeah, aside from that, I mean, like, that is just monstrous. It's a fun car, and it's light enough that you can kind of I mean, you guys can see here, you can kind of go into corners, have a little bit of fun with it. But again, the only thing that's kind of weird is the steering's just so light with the RS3. But yeah, overall, out of all of the RS cars that I have driven, including the R8, definitely kind of feels like the most fun and tossable, and it definitely feels like a turbocharged car. So if you like that crazy boosted feel, the RS3 does that. Now that's going to sum things up for our video on this 2020 Audi RS3. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larich Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with this RS3. Check out the inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.